with this book, I originally thought that we were going to disagree hard
Yeah.
because when I was kind of explaining it to you,
Mhm.
you seemed hesitant
Mhm.
about it. So I'm super excited to hear your thoughts. It's so different than the books we've read and the books that I usually read. I don't read anything else like this.
Well, also, I've historically had issues with men like this man.
Yeah.
And I will be honest, I like the book. I
Yeah.
don't like the man. I dislike him just as much as I disliked Vane.
Is that what we were going to talk about? Is a stalking story?
Do you want me to tell my stalking story? Is it that interesting?
I mean, I haven't had an actual stalker.
Oh, well, he was not like a
Oh,
he wasn't like a he was nothing compared to this guy,
sure.
obviously. And we had been together for a long time. We definitely trauma bonded,
Yeah.
for
How
sure.
old are you?
I started dating him when I was
Oh,
18-ish,
yeah.
and I dated him until I was, like, 21
Mhm.
or so, something in that
Yeah.
kind of range. I wasn't quite 18 yet. I just turned 21 when we broke up, but it was, like, a really horrific relationship. It was a
Yeah.
horrific breakup, and the very last time that I saw him, he broke into my house and held me hostage.
Okay. I did
Yeah.
not expect it to go this direction.
Yeah.
For how long?
Hours.
Hmm.
He did unspeakable things to me, which I probably don't need to share on the podcast, but
Sure, we can imagine.
then he put me through a window, and that was the last interaction that I ever had with him. But then after that was when I started getting little notes that he would leave me, and he had this really specific kind of, like, scrolly handwriting, so it was
Yeah.
very identifiable that it was him, but I would, like, come out of work and I changed jobs. It wasn't like I worked at the same place and then he came to that place. It was
He
he
tracked you down.
had tracked me down to multiple jobs. It wasn't just the one, it was multiple, and it was for several years, and, like, he'd leave, like,
Ah,
little notes on my car or, like, sometimes I'd come home and there'd be, like, little, like, things done on my porch, and
hmm.
yeah, 'cause I lived in the same house, and then every once in a while, I would be, like, driving down the highway, and I'd look over, and he would be, like, speeding past me.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
And this is like like easy tracking devices. Like now it's so easy to track people, throw an AirTag in there.
Oh, yeah,
And this is like
this would have
he had to
been
work for it.
yeah, this would have been, like, 2008, 2009, right? 'Cause I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
no, it would have been even earlier than that.
Yeah.
I was 18 in 2004.
Mhm.
So, yeah, this was, like he was, like, following me in order to figure out where I was going, and then, yeah, that lasted really basically until he died. So,
Yeah,
it
it's not
wasn't a
as
story
sexy in real life.
it was not as sexy in real life, no. I do have big opinions about this particular character,
Yeah.
but not necessarily related to the stalking, because the stalking in the book doesn't I mean, it does bother me, but it, like, doesn't bother me just for the
Well,
entertainment.
yeah, he takes it so much further than just stalking.
He really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's my stalking story. I have other stories about partners that have struggled with our breakup as well. We can
Well, we're only on episode 6, so we have
yeah,
plenty of
save
time
those
to get
for
into those.
the future. They're really interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm Amanda,
And I'm Nicole.
and we are Book Sluts. We read, recap, and review smutty books. I would absolutely qualify this as a smutty book.
This is a smutty book,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah,
The whole book is sexy undertones.
absolutely. What book is it?
We are reading Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton.
And this is technically a duology as well.
Yes.
We Nicole has read the second book. I have not read the second book yet, but we will not be reviewing the second book for the podcast.
Hunting Adeline.
We may do it as, like, a bonus episode in the future, but just because of the content of that book, we probably won't be doing it for our normal feed. So,
I don't even know if I'd be comfortable talking about the themes in that book.
yeah.
And H.G. Carlton even gives She's like, "If you thought this book was bad, the second book is much, much worse, so buckle up."
Yeah. Well, and I will say, well, I'm gonna go through the trigger warnings, but I did sort of intentionally leave out some of the darker
Yeah.
aspects of the book just in case, like, listening to it makes you squeamish. I'm not gonna read the full trigger warning, I'm just gonna try to summarize it. Basically, it includes stalking, non-dubcon, graphic violence, and sexual situations. This book also deals heavily with human trafficking, child trafficking, and some child sacrifice and cannibalism. And again, we will be kind of skipping over those things. She does say in the trigger warning, like, children do die in this book. We will not be talking about that in great detail in case that's something that you are worried about before listening. So, and we also wanted to just kind of give a blanket statement because we are a new podcast and we knew that when we started the podcast that we wanted it to be fun, but we also knew that because of the genre and because of the material that we were reviewing, that we would encounter some potentially problematic relationships between characters and sometimes between characters and sex. And Nicole and I are very, very aware of the disproportionate exposure that women and girls have to normalized abusive partnerships and just unhealthy relationships with sexual encounters and general such sexual health. And so we want to make our listeners, our 22 listeners, thank you to you 22, aware that we are aware of these things. However, these materials exist for a reason and people enjoy these. I enjoyed this book a lot. And although we want to be super socially conscientious, we don't want to inadvertently shame anyone for enjoying this type of book. So we're going to talk about it really from a very fun perspective. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to align with our own personal beliefs. And obviously, we know, like, I have firsthand experience with stalkers. So,
Yeah.
so just know that as you listen to the episode. And yeah, anything you
All
want to
right.
add?
No,
Okay.
that was great.
Well, let's jump in. Our prologue sets the scene here for the rest of the book. The woman in the prologue is being watched by an unknown man, and although she is terrified, she's also inviting him to look. She really seems to get a thrill from the fear. It takes place in a home that was inherited from her grandparents. They built the home in 1940, and there's a legend that during the construction, the home caught on fire, killing 5 of the workers. The story feels haunting from the beginning. The character feels haunted by the deaths of the people in the home, and our main character feels resigned in the presence of her stalker.
Yeah, this really sets a good tone because this book it had an eerie undertone.
Mhm.
I felt that, and that's what I wanted in other books that I haven't gotten. The whole book I felt, and the house sets a really good scene
Mm,
for that kind of dark, gothic
yeah.
horror feel.
Do you wanna describe the house now?
Sure.
The bulk of the story takes place, like, in this house, and it really, I think, is sort of a cornerstone of the spookiness.
She
So
describes the house in so much detail.
Mhm,
This
mhm,
house that her great-grandparents built in the 1940s, it is stationed on a cliffside in a heavily wooded area. It is a Gothic Victorian style, 3 stories plus an attic, and then on the outside, there are vines that crawl up the sides. There are 2 gargoyles on each side,
mm.
which is just setting that Gothic scene so well.
Mhm,
There's 1 window at the very top in the attic and a large front porch.
mhm,
Now inside, which is where a lot of this takes place. So set the scene here. You walk in to a big foyer. It's a very open concept, black and white checkered floor. There's a dark high ceiling with a beautiful grand chandelier. There is a sunroom where some of this story takes place, and it's completely windows. The
mhm,
ceiling, the walls, everything is windows.
mhm.
And then upstairs is where Adeline's bedroom is.
And she has a balcony
Yes,
with
she has,
double doors.
yes,
To drive the point home, I guess I should
massive.
say this house is absolutely massive, and she lives here alone in this very isolated
Yeah, and
area.
it's very dark, black, red.
Mhm,
She describes the hallway as blood red walls.
mhm,
It's It's very spooky feeling.
For sure. Even after she updates it, it still has
Yes.
that vibe.
Well, she keeps the black, like, she redoes the front porch and still makes it black.
Mhm.
Everything's black in
Yeah.
this house.
I really like this character. I don't love this
Same.
character, but I do like her. I like how comfortable she is with black and just
She is very dark. She moved in there for that spooky feel. She lives with the ghosts, there are ghosts.
Mhm. Yeah,
She loves it.
yeah, and I like that about her.
Yeah.
In this book, we have 2 point of views, that of the manipulator, AKA Adeline, Addie Riley, and the shadow, AKA Zaid or Z, her stalker. We meet Addie in these initial chapters. She inherited the home from her great-grandparents, where she grew up with her grandmother, and she hasn't been home in several years, and in her absence, the home has sat vacant and has taken on a very dark presence. She was very, very close to her grandmother, Nana, but not as close to her mother, who disagrees with her decision to move back into the home and fix it up. Adeline is an author, and our initial scenes here, we're joining Addie at her book signing. Nicole, what is our physical description of Addie?
This, I think, is so funny because both Adeline and Zaid describe her as having cinnamon colored hair.
Sure.
What man describes the color cinnamon?
Yeah.
It's brown,
Mhm.
but she has cinnamon colored hair.
Mhm.
She is 26. She has an innocent face, brown eyes, freckles, and she describes herself as having great tits.
She describes herself as having great tits and a great ass, but then having a flat stomach,
Yes.
which
Yeah,
she's not
perfect, apparently.
she's not working out. So I know that if you have tits and an ass that you don't have a flat stomach. But who am I?
Yeah,
She also describes herself as socially awkward.
yes.
During the book signing, we get our first glimpse of the stalker, AKA Z. She spots him from across the room and then he vanishes like a ghost.
And she can feel him watching her, which I think is already she's aware of his presence.
Actually, that's such a good point because many of the encounters that we have where he's stalking her, she can just sense him.
And I've never felt that.
Oh, really?
No, I've never just I've felt it, like, if I can kind of peripherally see somebody staring at me, but I've
Mm,
never just felt like I'm being watched when nobody else is around, or I
sure.
don't know what that feels like.
Oh,
I'm
I
pretty
do.
oblivious to a lot, so
Sure. I feel like I have really good natural instincts,
sure,
and so I would know. I
sure.
I say that, but I didn't know that I was being stalked by my ex. So, I do say that,
Yeah.
but
Well, and they talk later about maybe why she can sense him, but we'll get to that later.
okay. After our signing, we meet Adeline's best friend, Dea, who arranges a booty call with a past hookup. The night goes south after a strange knock on the door with no known source, and as very small, stupid men do, her hookup punches a hole in her wall after she decides that she's scared and doesn't wanna hook up anymore.
Well, and he tells her, there's a knock at the door, and he's like, "Are you gonna get that?" And she thinks to herself, "What a dick."
Yeah,
Most men would
just the
offer.
chivalry.
Yes, they
Mhm.
would offer to go and open the like, see who's out there, because what is little tiny Adeline gonna do?
Well, and it's interesting because I thought to myself when she said that, I thought, "This is my fucking house, of course I'm gonna get the door. You don't
Yeah,
live here. I don't even like you that much. Don't fucking touch my doorknob." That was
he's
where my
very
mind went, but
he's very unaware that she does not like him much, though.
he really is,
Like,
yeah,
she talks about him making out with her neck,
yeah.
one-sided.
Which haven't we all been there?
Yes, and
Oh
it's
my
just you
god.
don't know what to do, and they're like, "Oh, baby, does that feel good?" And it's like, "N
Yes,
where?
right.
No."
This is
It
lackluster.
reminds me of that scene in is it Bridesmaids, where Kristen Wiig is in bed with John Hamm, and he's, like, just massaging her boob. He's like, "Can he do this?"
Yes.
And she's like, "Yeah." Like,
Yes.
they
So oblivious. After he punches a hole in the wall, it reveals a safe, and in the safe, Addie discovers her great-grandmother's journal, the contents of which reveal a sordid affair her great-grandmother had with an unknown man. At this point, he's unknown. and that leads up to her murder, which is still unsolved. We transition over to the Shadow's point of view. He is introduced as a tech whiz who hunts human traffickers and child molesters. And he wanders into Adeline's book signing after bumping into her sign outside of the bookshop, and he is immediately, instantly obsessed with her. Nicole, do you want to give his physical description?
Obviously. He has 2 different eye colors, so one of them is dark and one is blue, and there's a scar down his face kinda over that dark eye, and tall, chiseled, and he has dark hair.
Which we love.
Gorgeous.
Mhm.
Apparently just gorgeous man.
Mhm. She talks about his aristocratic nose and
Yeah,
his sharp jawline
yes,
and all of
and
the
he has
things,
tattoos.
and he has tattoos, yeah. He does sound
Yeah.
very attractive.
Oh, yeah, just our type.
Mhm.
Mhm.
This is where we get his nickname for Adeline, which is his little mouse. And I get that it's a cat and mouse thriller, but I hate these fucking pet names. I hate when they call
Agreed.
them mouse, or in one of the books, I think or Den of Vipers, I think one of them calls the girl like his little sparrow, and
I hate that. These, just make them very small,
yes.
innocent, easy to
Yes.
capture.
Mhm.
I don't love that
I
at
hate
all.
it, no, and I really dislike, especially in this book, that he makes her the mouse because she is the cat to
Yes.
me. Like,
Yeah,
her personality is more, I would describe her as a black cat personality.
yeah. Can I say
So
one thing with him too that I really liked about what H.G. Carlton did here
mhm,
is and it comes up later where he talks about how he's taking down these human trafficking rings,
mhm,
and he says there's no reason nothing happened to him. He had a great childhood.
mm,
Nothing happened to make him do this. It's just what's right,
mhm,
and I like that because I think we see with a lot of male characters,
mhm.
they're only doing it because their sister was sex trafficked or their mom was murdered or
Sure.
something happened to a woman in their life, so now it makes it personal, and he just says, like, "That's what's right," which really did kind of soften me to his character.
Yeah. We are gonna disagree on this book.
Oh, I knew we were. I
Yeah,
told you we were.
yeah. I don't like the trope that a lot of these books fall into where they have this sort of aggressive sexual relationship, and but then they, like, try to make the guy seem like a good guy.
Yeah.
She this I can't This author drives this home, this whole entire book about how
Yes.
he's this really, like, she's really trying to reinforce with us, the reader, that he's a good guy. He's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
He is
100%.
he is and
I fell for it.
no, I get it, but I think it also is like, you don't have to be a vigilante to justify this type of sexual relationship. And I wish that I wish that sometimes when I'm reading these books, let them be bad.
You
Let
think
them be a bad guy.
you'd be fine if this was an ex-con or bank robber or something like that who's like, a
He's a
bad
murderer.
guy. But
He's
he's
a murderer. He's still those things. Would I rather have a stalker who's a murderer or a stalker who is a bank robber? I would rather have a stalker who's a bank robber. Like, he's still a bad guy. I
Sure.
think she really wants us to think that he's a good guy. We'll get deeper into the book, and I know that everybody reading the book thought that he was a good guy, but
Not everybody, I'm sure there are definitely people who felt that same way.
oh, well, I hope so. I hope I'm not alone
You're alone in your
on this
opinion.
island. I just it's I think sometimes we as a society shy away from dark things and try to soften them by painting a very specific picture of
Like, he does this, but he does this, so it's okay.
mhm, and I just don't like that. Let him just be bad, and that's fine. Like, I'm not great all the time. Nicole still loves me.
Very true.
Anyways,
Alright.
we're back to Adeline, and at this point in the book, the stalking has gone full tilt. Someone is breaking into her house and leaving her roses without unlocking the doors or windows. We also learn in these initial chapters that her best friend Dea is a computer scientist and conspiracy theorist. This whole book reads like like a woman from rural. Midwest, small town.
Yeah.
At some point in time, she talks about his muscle car, his
Yeah.
Mustang. She really talks about it like it's a flex, and I really wish that I didn't have to read so much of the author in the book because she's not from the Midwest, she's actually from Oregon, but same thing.
I mean, different people find different things impressive.
Yeah,
Some people must be impressed with cars. Men certainly think women will be impressed with their car,
that is actually so true.
right?
When really, I
I'm
don't care.
judging.
Yeah.
I'm actually judging
If
you.
you show up in a muscle car or a lifted truck, you're out
Oh,
instantly. You're
yes,
immediately out.
absolutely not.
I also have really strong opinions about the portrayal of sex trafficking in this book because I think that it is kind of a very, very narrow view of what sex trafficking looks like.
100%. This is like sex trafficking rings, government. This is
Mhm.
the top, the worst.
Yeah.
Very taken.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Which is very entertaining.
Yeah.
For sure. That
Yes.
style of entertainment. So Addie reveals to Dea that she has a stalker. They make several police reports and nothing comes of it. We get a brief shadow point of view here. He, in this POV, systematically infiltrates a human trafficking ring and single-handedly eliminates all but one of the Mexican crack addicts because, of course, the sex trafficking ring is run by Mexican crack addicts. It couldn't possibly be poor white folks. I have some big opinions about it. I think that's so rude. And then he rescues a horde of young girls where we see the soft and protective side of him just to reinforce what a good guy he is.
Yep. I think you're gonna hate the next book.
Oh no.
Just based on these
Oh
little opinions
no.
I've already heard.
Yeah. Well, I don't like him.
Yeah.
I do like I do like the smut. It's
This
so
yes,
good.
this was a sexy book,
Mhm.
even if this is not something that you would do in your personal life.
I think I just don't like overly macho men.
Same. I
Mhm.
like when they can look macho, but on the
Mhm.
inside,
A
I want
soft
my
teddy bear.
cat dad.
Mhm. You're Dave. Dave, your wife loves you.
Yeah.
Back to Daya and Addie, who are out at a club. They're looking for some dick for Addie. Daya is always trying to get her
I love that.
laid.
Daya's such a good
She
friend.
really is.
She's on it.
She really is. They meet a man and are invited up to VIP. And again, we see an escalation in the stalking because while she is upstairs in VIP, the shadow texts Addie and tells her that any hand that touches her will be chopped off. Despite this, Addie takes the man, Archibald Talavera III,
Yeah.
home back to her house, where they begin to hook up. And once again, she is interrupted by pounding on the front door. And this time, chivalry wins out.
Yep.
Archie goes out to see what the noise was and disappears. The police are called again, and it turns out that this man is an heir to a mob family, not a nice guy. There's some history of
Domestic
domestic
violence.
domestic violence. And we also learn that all of Addie's prior police reports have been wiped from the system. So the police come and they don't even realize that she's being stalked.
Can I tell you when I first read this, and it's probably just my own bias, I was like, of course these fucking cops didn't file the police reports. Of course they didn't take a woman seriously.
Yes.
That's where I went. I was like, fuck these guys.
Mhm.
But then you find out that they have been wiped. So
That is
good for
such a reasonable
but again, it
place to go.
reinforces your thoughts on the author,
Mhm.
on how she's loves
She's
that cop.
she's swinging a certain way
Yeah,
in this, yeah,
yeah. Good
which
guy
is
cops.
which is
Not where my mind went.
yeah. The next day, Adeline receives a package that has Talavera's hands in it with a note telling Adeline not to call the police again. And we learn that his entire family has been murdered. So, after each chapter in this book, there is a page from Adeline's great grandmother's journal. And we have two simultaneous builds happening. And I think it was actually really genius for the author to do this because it softens how terrifying Addie's stalker is in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, her great grandmother is in love with her stalker, whereas Addie initially is terrified.
But it does start with the progression, like, at first, her grandma she's like, "Somebody's watching me, I'm afraid."
Mhm.
And then she is slowly,
Mhm.
literally falling in love with the stalker.
I think it happens faster for her
Yeah,
grandmother.
yeah,
Yeah. The stories essentially are running parallel with one another. They're both being stalked by unknown men, but her great-grandmother is falling in love with hers while Adeline fears hers. Based on where she's at in the journals, she decides to embark on an investigation into the unsolved murder of her great-grandmother and has solicited the help of her hacking friend, Dea, to do so. While in the midst of her investigation, over the course of the next few days, the shadow starts revealing himself to Adeline, who is both fearful and angry, and she begins confronting him by yelling at him or staring him down.
she's definitely instigating this guy. She talks about thinks about how afraid she is,
Mhm,
but then she's like, "Fuck this guy, I'm gonna do," like, even when she brought Arch home,
mhm,
she was messing around with him in the sunroom,
mhm.
knowing somebody's watching her outside.
Knowing that he sent that text message.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is pushing this guy.
The way that she pushes him is, for me, one of the reasons that I was really kind of okay with some of the
And
non-consensual stuff that happens, because I think even though I'm feeling fearful, like, I
yeah,
feel her fear, I feel her anxiety about it, but I also think that if you were truly, truly fearful and anxious about it, you wouldn't be instigating your stalker, and so I think that even at this early stage, there's still this sense of she kind of
you can tell she loves it.
yeah,
Yes,
she
this does it for her.
she never admits it to herself,
No.
but we as an audience kind of get the sense of that. After a particularly disturbing experience where she comes home to find her entire living room covered in red roses, which is, I decided, more terrifying than a single red rose.
I agree. That was a little
That
that's
was
where I was
intense.
like, "Oh god, if this was a horror book, this is where she dies.
Yeah.
This is where he has decided she is done for."
Yes. Yes.
But not this book.
Mm. She agrees that she's gonna go stay with Dea, and it turns out that Dea works in the dark web, and she works in preventing human trafficking, so I knew right away that she worked for Z.
Same.
Yeah. We're back to Z. We learn that he has been tracking a specific ring of people who sacrifice children, and the only reason that I brought this section up is because I was just gonna kinda gloss over this. I don't think it's super relevant in a recap, but I brought it up because while he's stressing out about this new video that leaks of this child being sacrificed, he says, "Times like these when I'm at my lowest, I can't help but feel like it also changed my life in the best of ways. It brought me to Addie after all." I was
Insane. I don't even think I read that part.
absolutely out of your freaking
Yes.
psychotic.
Yeah.
I was like, "That is wild." It's just such a wild sentiment. I don't know.
Yeah.
You've been stalking her for, like, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, this is pretty fresh. Like, I think
Yeah.
at the end, she said it's only been, like, a little over a month or 2.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Very quick.
pretty crazy. Addie is at home when she sees the ghost of her dead great-grandmother, and she follows it to up to her attic, where she discovers a note confessing to helping cover up her, we don't know who and can only assume they mean her great-grandmother, Gigi, covering up her murder. Addie and Z, from here on out, continue their cat and mouse game, with Addie getting more and more bold, egging him on, and shit talking. They finally come face to face, and she identifies him as the man from her book signing, so she sees his face for the first time. Adeline is absolutely immediately attracted to him, and she is immediately attracted to his voice.
Yeah.
Made me think of you.
Yeah. Well, and there's another part too where Addie, when she thinks that he's maybe hacked her phone,
Mhm.
her first thought is her nudes.
I
And I
forgot
love
about
that
that.
little part where she literally she's worried about him spreading them,
Mhm.
and then she says that she takes nudes because she loves her body and wants to stare at them all day. And I love that for her. That
Yeah,
made me like her there. I love that she
that
is
is a very likable
taking
thing.
active nudes and
Yeah.
just to look at her own body.
We talk about that all the time about how we wish we had taken more
Yes.
nudes when we were younger,
Yes, or saved them.
saved them.
What
Yeah.
were we thinking?
I don't know.
Fucking Dave, not saving any of my nudes.
Wow. What a respectful gentleman. Hated.
No, goddamn.
They play a game, hide and seek. If he finds her, she gets her punishment. If he doesn't, she will go unpunished and he'll leave. He catches her, and her punishment is a line of aggressive bite marks down her neck and shoulders, which she loves. But she is warring with herself, and she retaliates by biting him back and making him bleed. And he decides she deserves another punishment and holds her at gunpoint while he makes her strip and then makes her suck on the end of the gun. Then he uses the gun to fuck her.
Yeah.
He praises her and makes her say she belongs to him. And as a reward, she gets to come.
Yeah.
With the gun.
Yeah. That scene I wasn't sure was going to do it for me, but it did.
It did.
It for sure did.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scary sex. You can tell in that moment she's getting off on the fear too.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
the fact that it's a gun and
one of the things that I liked about this book a lot is I really like that she describes the sounds, which I know makes me a creep. But for me, I was like, I could, I don't have any visual imagery in my brain. So it made it a little bit more real to me, I guess, which I really appreciated. So thanks, H.D. Carlton.
And that is from page 196 to page 202.
Okay. I was going to say in this section here, I'm really annoyed at how he likes her fear.
He goes on the whole book about how her being scared turns him on.
Yeah, which bothers me a lot. There are multiple times where he talks about a very specific response or reaction to being fearful. And in my head, I thought to myself, that is exactly the same reaction that the children that you are rescuing have.
Mm-hmm.
And it is gross to me that you can't put those two things together. But
well, and also at a certain point, if he gets what he wants, she's not going to be afraid of him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So then will he take it further to try to
will it
get
escalate?
her? Yeah,
absolutely. I think that happens in real life.
Yeah.
The cat and mouse game continues. Adeline pursues her murder investigation, and Dea attempts to stave off Archie's associates who don't believe that Addie had nothing to do with his murder. We also get a bit more insight into why Z might be doing this stalking. I took a screenshot of it. I'm going to share it. He says, I'm going to make her fall in love with every single fucked up part of me. I want this girl to see me at my most depraved. I want her to experience the true darkness residing in my soul. When you make someone fall in love with the darkest parts of you, there's nothing you can do that will scare them away. They will be yours forever because they already love all the fucked up bits and pieces of you.
I kind of, because he says that again, like when he's talking to his coworker friend Jay, he said, because Jay's like, why are you stalking her? Like, that's a little coming in hot.
Yeah.
I want her to know me. Which is
I did like that.
I know.
Yeah. I just wish that the darkest parts of you wasn't murder and stalking.
I know. But at least she knows, like, if she falls in love with him, she knows
exactly what she's
he's
getting.
capable of.
Yeah. And he does say that multiple times where he'll say, you keep acting like I'm not the scariest person you know. Which is interesting because it just kind of reinforces that she does trust him.
She says to him that, go ahead and kill me if you're going to kill me. But in her head, you don't get the feeling that she's actually afraid that he's going to kill her at any point.
Yeah. Adeline is getting bolder and bolder with Z. And although she's still fighting him, she's also craving him. She instigates him again via text. And that night while she's sleeping, he ties her to her bed and tapes her mouth shut. She wakes and fights herself, and then he goes down on her. When she fights him, he uses his teeth to subdue her. So he is using his teeth on her clit, essentially gnawing on it.
Yeah.
Her reward for not fighting him is that she gets fingered, and he continues to play with her until she agrees to understanding how his punishments will work moving forward, and then rewards her again by making her come.
We've talked about how a little bit of pain is okay. I can get on board with that.
I will say that this scene if you are wondering if this is a little bit of pain, it's not. This is a lot of pain.
Yes, it is.
I am definitely somebody who enjoys a little bit of pain with my pleasure. This scene is
A little too much.
it's not too much for me, but
Sure.
it's not just like a little nip.
Yeah.
I mean,
But she's
she's
talking about even after she orgasms, she's, like, feeling some shame, but
Mhm,
then she's thinking that she is still so fucking turned on. And that scene is from 2:22 to 2:35.
mhm. She's battling herself here and has given into this primal urge that she has for him. She says, "This isn't a climb to heaven, it's a fall from grace." This scene we weren't even done talking about it, I'm
No, we
sorry.
weren't.
This scene has the sexiest spit in my mouth scene that I've ever read.
Yeah.
You remember this is what we need to record your face when I talk to you.
Mhm, the spitting, does not do anything for me.
He's going down on her. He's fingering her. He stops going down on her. He crawls up her body, this lethal specimen of a man, crawls up her body, pinches her mouth open. She's, like, writhing
Yeah.
in ecstasy. She is, like, out of her mind enjoying this, and he says, "Swallow your juices," and, like, spits in her mouth. It is so sexy. You can't stop me.
You can kiss me after you've gone down on me, but to just spit in my mouth?
Mhm. Well, he doesn't it's not like he's like
Well,
he's
yes, but I don't
it's a
even
gentle spit.
watching porn, when they spit or do anything like that, it does
Mhm.
nothing for me.
Sure.
It's nope.
Well, they do make out
They do.
extensively.
Yeah,
She's falling for him here.
yeah.
He leaves. No penetration. Well,
I do love that for him. Like, I love that for her,
yeah.
that he has now given her the best orgasms of her life,
Mhm.
and he has not.
He's got nothing.
Yeah.
He does say, like, leading up to their first time having sex together, he does say over and over, like, "She's not ready yet.
Yes.
I have to work her up to that," and
The amount of pleasure
yeah. She Adeline, we're not
is
mad at
in
you, babe.
ecstasy.
We are not mad at you. Adeline tells Dea about the encounter. When I initially met Dea, I didn't like her. I hate when women call other women girl or bitch.
Mm.
It's just not for me. Occasionally, if I'm about to tell Nicole something, I'll open it
I was
up
gonna
with,
say, I feel like I just text you in all caps, "Girl."
I know. If it's like if it's like an emergency,
Yeah.
like, girl, like, bitch,
Yeah.
absolutely. But the whole like, "Oh my god, girl, we gotta get you laid."
Yeah.
I don't like that, and I feel like when authors write those types of relationships, I feel like it feels very shallow to me.
Yeah.
But this part right here makes me really, really like Dea a lot, and I just progressively like her more and more.
Yeah.
I hope that she does not turn out to be a bad guy.
Mhm.
But Addie says, "You could judge me, I'm judging me," and Dea says, "I am absolutely not judging you." And she makes several astute observations, really validating Adeline's feelings, and puts together that the reason that Addie is so eager to prove her great-grandmother's stalker was her murderer is because she is looking for a reason to hate Z.
Yeah.
They also get drunk here, and Dea tells Addie that if the stalker sticks his peen in her to record it so she can watch it, which feels like something I would say.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So I really appreciated Dea for that. We have another encounter with Z, who we now know is Zaid. She once again incites him, and as punishment, he jacks off into her mouth. And I really love when men stroke themselves. Well, when anybody masturbates, really, just in
Yes.
general, but this scene was also very sexy to me.
Yeah, I completely agree.
What are the pages for this one?
That is 272 to 280.
Oh, and you know what else? During this scene is the scene where he says, "My name is Zaid, but you will call me God when I'm inside of you."
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the last time we talked about
Ye
that, the God complex of these
yes.
men. As our story has progressed, Zaid has been working on this same case. He's gone undercover to get access to the leader of a child sex trafficking ring, and his cover is almost blown when they go to a restaurant that Addie is using as an office for the night. Zaid's associate wants to be introduced to Addie, and Zaid can't tell him no without drawing
Well, he
without
can tell that
yeah.
he wants her.
If he said no, it would put up some red flags. She plays along only to discover that this man, Mark is his name, His father was Frank, her great-great-grandmother Gigi, and her great-grandfather's best friend. He invites the couple to a party under the guise of giving Adeline more information about the murders. Zaid picks Addie up for the party, and before they've even left,
You love this part.
I love this
I
part.
can tell.
Oh my god. She baits him. She instigates him, as she does. He has her take off his belt, which I love that he made her get the belt.
Yeah, of course. As I was reading this, I was like, Amanda loves this.
I do.
I knew it.
He wraps it around her neck, and rather than let him boss her around, Addie decides that she's gonna take control, and she drops down and, without his permission,
Mhm.
just puts his dick in her mouth and gives him head that makes his eyes roll into the back of his
Yes.
brain. And it's just, I don't know, I love it. He's,
Yeah.
like, tightening the belt around her neck, and so sexy. What page is this one on?
305 to 310.
We're gonna be saying what page is this on a lot
A lot.
in this book.
I didn't even save enough room for all of the sexy pages.
Oh, really?
I had to, like, double up on some.
Oh, shoot.
I know.
On the way to the party, Zaid reveals what he does and who Mark truly is to Addie. And while at the party, they sneak away and they find a movie theater room in the mansion.
This part I got on board with.
Oh, ma'am.
Yes.
The public displays.
I don't mind public.
Yeah. I don't. It's not at the top of my list.
I kind of love it.
Yeah. If it's a necessity, like, I can't wait until we get home, we must do it right here, right now, then I'm fine with it, but
Yeah.
it's not something that I'm like, it'd be really fun to risk getting
Yeah.
caught. Anyways, Zaid puts on a scary movie, and he makes Adeline watch it.
She's sitting on his lap,
Mhm.
facing the screen,
Facing
and
the
he's behind her.
Yeah. Her legs are spread, like, one over each of the chairs on either side of them, and he fingers her until she comes. It's also a great scene.
Yeah, it is, and that is from page 329 to 335. She's
Um,
getting so many orgasms
she is. She's a
and
lucky
great
girl.
orgasms.
Yeah. I have had sex in movie theaters. I had sex during the real life version of The Jungle Book.
Okay.
We were the only ones in the movie theater, and it was not the greatest movie, and sex seemed better,
I
so
have not. I think I've given a blowjob or 2 in a movie theater, but I've never had sex.
No.
Shoot.
Shoot, you should give that a try.
Hmm.
No?
No.
Not that
The only
public.
person I see movies with anymore is Tristan.
Oh, shoot.
So,
Oh.
not sure Dave would like that, or Tristan would like that.
Tristan definitely wouldn't like that. So, after this, they return to the party. They get a little bit more information about the murder from Mark, and they head home. Zaid and Adeline's relationship changes here. Zaid has members of his team watching Addie's house and is teaching her self-defense in his spare time. They even share a tender moment where Adeline comforts Zaid after a failed mission. She
Yeah.
gives him a back rub, and the scene again feels very unnatural to me. But
Yeah.
what the fuck do I know about healthy relationships? I want to be choked with a belt. So, who am I? A week later, Addie and Dea go to their favorite Halloween event, a traveling fair called Satan's Affair. In the House of Mirrors by herself, Zaid finds her and chases her. The rules being that if he catches her, he fucks her. They get naked. He forces her to suck his dick. Then he fucks her up against a mirror. He abruptly moves her to the floor. I love this position.
This scene.
Yeah. So she's on her hands and knees, and then he lifts up her knees to his shoulder and he eats her out from behind. And then he fucks her from behind. They both come. Apparently, they're in the maze for 2 hours, we find out.
Which is just far too much time.
It's way too much time.
And that is from page 393 to 412. That's a longer scene.
Good scene.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Zane returns to a haunted house where he had earlier discovered that Mark and his associates were planning to kidnap Addie and Dea. And with the help of a random deranged doll in this funhouse, knocked out Mark and his associates, and then tied them up. So these 4 men are tied up, being guarded by the doll, and
Yeah.
then he leaves to go to the maze to have
For
sex
2
with Maddie
hours.
for 2 hours, and then comes back
Yeah.
to finish the job, which, I don't know, good for you, babe. He lets the doll,
Sibby. Her name is Sibby.
Sibby, murder Mark's associates, and then Zayd interrogates Mark about the location of the rituals that are happening. And we find out that Mark works for an anonymous society. They just are called the Society. And that Adeline was marked as a target by the society. We don't know why as of this book.
Before Zayd even had met her.
Yeah. He sort of insinuates maybe it's because of her like status as an author, but we don't actually know the reason that she is marked. Then he kills Mark as well.
Good fucking riddance.
Good riddance. In case we didn't make it super clear in the earlier recap, Zayd is also the one who killed Archie and his family. Adeline and Zayd have a come to Jesus fight where Addie runs from Zayd and he, of course, catches her.
Of course he does.
Outside in the woods in the pouring rain. And she tells Zayd that she can make herself come harder than he ever could. So he asks her to prove it.
I also love this scene.
You do love.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. She masturbates while Zayd watches. She makes herself come and then admits to him that it wasn't better. He collects her to carry her back to the house. And she
is ready.
She's ready. She starts seducing him, starts kissing his neck, and he is so out of his mind after watching her masturbate. Yes, he can't wait anymore. So he aggressively fucks her up against a tree, which is one of my also favorite things.
So hot, but it's raining and you do hate the rain.
I do hate the rain. Yeah, I just imagined in this whole scene that there was no rain.
And the rain made it so much sexier for me.
This gets even more interesting because you think to yourself, well, she just masturbated and now he fucked her up against the tree. He came, she came again. Surely we're done. Nope. Mm-mm. He takes her back to the house, gets as far as the driveway.
He still can't wait. He's already came.
Yes.
It's been 2 minutes.
Yep. And he cannot wait. So he throws her into the back of this SUV and she starts talking about if he's a god, I'm a goddess, and are you going to kneel for me? And they're in this like SUV. Zayd is a massive guy. And so his way of kneeling to her is that he's going to make her come.
Yeah.
Which I would much rather have you make me come than kneel, but
100%.
He does something really interesting. And I've seen this on TikTok and I never understood what was going on. And now I understand what we were trying to figure out here.
The logistics
of it. He bends her over the center console from the back. And then he takes the seatbelts,
both seatbelts,
and then crisscrosses them and like clicks them into the opposite seatbelt.
And she can't move.
So she can't move. She's all trussed up. And then he pulls her ass up and he eats her out again, just like he did in the mirror. Maze. She comes and then he unclicks the seatbelts, gets her on her back where he fucks her again, then flips them again until she's straddling him on top where she rides him and they both come again.
I don't know most men that could go that quickly again.
Well, no.
And then orgasm twice.
Yeah. And then the next day they wake up and
they fuck all night.
Yeah, they fuck all night long. And he says like his dick is so sore that he can't make it hard.
And that is from page 454 to 471. That long scene.
I did have an ex who had a similar desire to go as long as possible, which was so tedious. In case anybody is wondering, that's not a brag.
No.
But he did once bruise his dick.
Oh my God.
Like a full blown, like almost like a blood blister. Because we just worked so hard for so long. Yeah. So I know that it can be very painful.
No. Not for me.
Not for you.
No.
Tap. At this age, I'm going to tap out in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Our murder investigation takes a turn when Addie discovers an envelope on her counter, and it is filled with pictures and a note addressed to Gigi. from her best friend, Frank, who is Mark's father, and again, her great-grandmother and her great-grandfather's best friend. The women find a hidden compartment in the attic that is hiding a blood-encrusted watch and a letter saying to hide it. They run some diagnostic tests on the evidence that they've recovered and determine that Frank was in fact the killer and that Adeline's Nana was forced by Frank to help him cover up her murder, which is why she has been so attached to this house, because the evidence of the murder is being hidden in the house. I knew that it was Frank.
Same. I don't feel like it was that hard to
I
even when there's another person outside of the stalker and her husband, John,
Yeah.
introduced, immediately that is the killer. And
Yeah.
there's nobody else it could have been, especially knowing he's Mark's dad.
And there's a part where they talk about how Mark comes over. It's kind of early on where Mark comes over to help her with John, her husband, who's been drinking a lot. And he asks her if John's accusations of
Her
her
cheating.
cheating are like true. And she says no. And he doesn't believe her and seems
He's really upset.
And I was like, oh, he's the murderer for sure.
Same.
He's in love with her. In love with her red lipstick. Her letters are absolutely fabulous. Of course,
Yes.
he's in love with her. Every man that met her was probably in love with
Yes.
her. So, meanwhile, Zaid has orchestrated a raid on the society. He saves a little girl from being killed, but is still maintaining his cover with the society. He makes his way into Addie, and they start to have sex with Addie on top until Zaid makes her run. So they're having a really healthy sexual moment, and Zaid is like, "There's
Nope.
not there's not enough fear here.
Yes.
We have to have some fear, so run from me."
Yeah.
He catches her and aggressively fucks her with a hand around her throat. And again, I just like it
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. That's from page 530 to 535. So many sex scenes.
There is a lot. After this, Zaid has his final raid of the society. Everything seems to be going as planned when an explosion goes off. The ceremony he thought he was shutting down was actually a setup. Zaid is held at gunpoint. And while that is happening, Adeline receives some text messages from Dea and rushes over to her house, and on the way there is hit by a car and pulled from the wreckage by Archie's friend Max. And that is the end of the book.
That's it. It ends on such a horrific cliffhanger. But like I said, the second book does have some big trigger warnings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do not want to read that, just so you all are aware, Addie does get her happy ending.
I love that for her.
But I'm not going to spoil anything else because you still
Sure.
haven't read it, Amanda.
I know. I'm going to. As soon as I have time.
You're so busy.
So busy. All right. Before we give our ratings, we want to just acknowledge Nicole's friend Pagel, who has been helping us with social media. So
shout out.
big shout out.
Yeah, we're both not very tech savvy.
Mm-mm.
She's been so great.
Yeah. And we will continue to acknowledge her in every episode moving forward because she has been a really important part of us getting established here.
Shout out Peggle.
Yeah.
Definitely.
H.G. Carlton is an international and USA Today bestselling author. She lives in Oregon with her husband, Bigfoot, 2 dogs, and cat. When she's not bathing in the tears of her readers, she's watching paranormal shows and wishing she was a mermaid. Her favorite characters are of the morally gray variety and believes that everyone should check their sanity at the door before diving into her stories. She has some other books, Does It Hurt?, Cat and Mouse, and Satan's Affair.
I think Satan's Affair is the one about Sibby. So Sibby does get her own book.
Oh, I see.
I haven't read it yet, but it is on my list.
Okay. And then another book called Where's Molly? We decided that the book about Sibby is probably dark.
Yes.
Like
that
really,
is
like darker than this. So I'm going to let Nicole read it.
But we heard that Gigi is also getting her own book.
Yes.
Which, that's interesting.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it'll be a really good story.
Gigi is sexy.
Gigi is very sexy. And we find out, we don't talk about it because it's not like a big focal point of this particular book, but her stalker/lover is like connected to the mob, and he pays off her husband's gambling debts and just
Mhm.
all these great things for her. So I think that that would be a really interesting book.
And the number of men who are obsessed with Gigi seems like
Mhm.
something I'd be super into.
Yeah, you do love an obsession.
I do.
Mhm.
All
All
right.
right, let's do our
Ratings?
ratings.
All right, spice level.
So I have been really contemplating how I categorize spice level
Mhm.
basically since Phantasma.
Yeah.
And I think that my spice level, I actually equate it more to like almost a trigger warning level.
Oh, sure.
How triggering do I think something would be?
Sure.
Not exactly, but I think generally I would consider something that has some heavier triggers to be spicier.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, kind of knowing that, I would probably give this for spice level a 4.5.
My spice level is based on how many times I had to text Dave
Mm.
during the book.
Sure.
I gave it a 5. I
Oh.
think there was so much
Mhm.
in this book. I was turned on the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, spice frequency,
I would give this book a 5.
same. And then prose.
Prose, I'm gonna give this book a 3.
Oh.
We talked a little bit about having a little discourse on Phantasma and how mean I was to it.
Mhm.
I think that I was a little harsh with my rating on prose for Phantasma.
Yeah.
I was upset.
Yeah.
I was not in a good mind frame. I gave this book a 3 because I feel like it is well written.
Yes.
I do feel like the characters are generally well developed. I This author does something where she repeats the same lines over and over and over
Very
and
true.
over and over and and we're not just talking about, like, watery vowels, we're talking about, like, full-blown sentences
Yeah.
on repeat
It is
over and
very
over.
she describes the cat and mouse and when he's stalking Adeline
Mhm.
for chapters,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. She's at her window, she sees him, she can sense him.
Mhm.
Yeah,
She
I'll
talks
agree.
about the red cherry in the dark. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just the same alliteration over and over and over again, and
yeah.
so I did drop it a little bit, because of that.
I gave it a 5. I think the characters were consistent. Storyline was good. It was the spooky I was looking for.
Mhm.
Do I wish there were more ghosts? Sure, but I
Mhm.
get that in this book, it wasn't necessarily about the ghosts. It's about the evil in the world.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 5.
Yeah.
Storyline.
I'm gonna give the storyline a 4. I probably would have given it a 5 if there hadn't been such a heavy focus on the child trafficking and the superhero and, like,
Yeah.
I don't think that that was for me. I really like I like superhero moments in these kind of books when it's like he's rushing in to save her.
Warm.
All of the rest of it just feels superfluous to me, so I'm gonna give it a 4.
I give it a 4.5.
Oh, look at you.
I think the storyline is great.
Mhm.
I was fine. I liked the backstories. I liked
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah.
I felt it flowed well. I
Mhm,
loved Gigi's diary pages.
mhm. Yeah,
It was great. Predictable.
sure.
Well, I did not predict Addie being kidnapped at the end. Or I kind of sensed maybe the double crossing for Zaid,
Mhm.
but I was shocked at the Addie. I didn't
I
think it was horrible.
definitely felt the entire time that Zaid was being set up. His access to those clubs and things were just too convenient and
Yeah.
too easy, and
Yeah,
I
this is a
know
society where people are in it for years
yeah,
and have to prove themselves, and he walks in, and in 1
1
week,
week. Yeah,
he's getting initiated in. Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that. Overall,
Overall, I'm gonna give it a 4.
yeah,
I
it's a
really, really like
great
this
read.
book. Mhm.
If you can get past those trigger warnings and that won't bother
Mhm.
you, I definitely know people who will not be able to read this based on the trigger warnings,
Mhm.
but I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah. I really liked the book. I did, I think, skim a little more over some of the more triggering things. We've talked about this in the past. I don't do things with children.
Yeah,
I just don't. So I think in this book, I read as much as I needed to get enough context to know that I didn't need to read it and then just skipped over it. So if you are somebody that feels like you can do that, then I would
I
definitely
feel like
recommend it.
the children were done very specifically or by the author
Mhm.
to make it so you can tell there's a clear difference between Zaid and these people. He is doing what he has to do. He's a vigilante.
Mhm.
What they are doing with these children is so much worse.
Yeah.
So he's not that bad. Let's just look past the stalking and all of that
Yeah.
because there are worse people. I felt like it was done so deliberately because
Yeah.
and the worst thing is children.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought it was really good.
and
So,
pretty much everybody who's read it gives
mhm.
it has very, very high reviews.
I don't think I've seen those TikToks where they're, like, overhyped books and
Mhm.
makes that list a lot, and I disagree. I think it's perfectly hyped.
Same.
Reason that it's so popular. The sex scenes are incredibly
It's dark. It's the darkest thing I've ever read.
mm,
It's dark, but it's done I think it's accessibly dark.
sure.
I think a lot of people could read this and still
Mhm.
get there.
Yeah, for sure. I could
Yeah.
see that. Mhm. Alright, well, you can find us on social media. We are on almost all social medias at Book Sluts Pod, and then you can find us online at bookslutspodcast.com. And what are we reading next week?
Next week, we are reading Pucking Around by Emily Race.
I'm so excited
We are gonna be doing some hockey
for hockey
stories
season.
for the month of November since it's, like, hockey season. I'm
Mhm.
going to a hockey game in a couple
Ooh.
weeks.
Ooh, look at you. Some inspiration.
Exactly. So exciting.
Yes. So exciting.
These books are available on we both read it on Kindle Unlimited. So they both of the books are on Kindle Unlimited, the first and second one. They're also available to purchase on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Target, pretty much anywhere you can get this book.
These are pretty accessible books,
Yes,
for
very.
sure. I'm Amanda,
And I'm Nicole.
and we're Book Sluts. We'll
See you
see you
next
next
week.
week. Bye.